I got into engineering actually through my father. When I was starting to do university, he told me to look into see what it is I was interested in. When I was in secondary school, I enjoyed maths and physics and stuff like that, like doing the calculations and stuff. So he sent me to the encyclopedia. Back in those days, it was the encyclopedia. So he said, okay, look up all the topics that you think you'd like. And I went through engineering, and I went through all the different types of engineering, and civil structural engineering is the one that caught my eye, that looked interesting to me. So I took that to him and I said, okay, this is what I'd like to do. And he was like, okay, cool, that was fine. And I guess for him it was also nice because he's also in the construction industry as well. So therefore I think that coaxed me along as well in terms of that. So I like the aspect of the challenges of the maths, the physics, the aspect of building. I like that aspect of it as well. And actually seeing what it is you're doing at the end of the day. So that's how I got into engineering. I can't say that when I was growing up, I was one that was playing with toys and building and stuff like that. But when I read about it and actually got into it, that is how I liked what I liked, and that's how I got into it.
That structural engineer was not for women.
Not at the time. I guess there were no boundaries at that point, and no limits, I guess. So therefore, you go where you can go and roll with the punches, as they say, and you get through all right. Okay, well, I started off my engineering career just before I started university at the University of West Indies. I came here at Lauriston Lewis Associates. At that time, sorry, it was Lauriston Lewis Phillips Associates, because Jeffrey Phillips was one of the engineers and directors here at the time. So I started off here as a trainee engineer, rather, because I was now starting my education at UE. And so I came here and would spend the August holidays doing work with the Lauriston Lewis Associates and with Lauriston Lewis and Jeffrey Phillips at the time. So I got into the aspect of calculations and stuff like that. So as the years progressed and I finally got my degree, I actually came back here and started working here as after having graduated from UE. And this is where I have to say, all my training and all my learning of engineering came from this establishment called Lauriston, which is now called Lauriston Lewis Associates. Jeffrey's not here with us anymore. He's now started his own practice. But both he and Lauriston Lewis were both instrumental in my development in terms of where I am today. So I started off as a junior engineer, and at present I have grown, and now I'm actually one of the directors and the general manager of the firm. So with both Mr. Lewis and Jeffrey here with me, they guided me along. I remember one of my times coming to work, I had on a skirt and a pair of high heel shoes, and Mr. Lewis says, "Margarita, come, we're going on sites." And at that time you're not really prepared, right? Because you're not sure of what it is you have to do. So then finally, there I go on site, and there I have to do. Luckily, it was a skirt that I could wrap around and put in between my legs, and there we are climbing scaffolding and stuff. OSHA wasn't a great thing then, so therefore those were things that we could have gotten away with back in the day. So those were one of the memories that I have from him, and that showed me always to be prepared in terms of ensuring that you have things there that are necessary for you whenever you have to go on site. So therefore, from that day on, I always had my jeans and my shoes back in the car ready for me whenever I'm ready to go anywhere. So that taught me something on preparation for any eventualities that are to occur. And then with Jeffrey, he was a stickler for precision. He was a rather meticulous person in my estimation. I think others as well. So he always taught me, Margarita, if it is you're on a job, you have to know what it's about, where it is, all the details of the job. You have to be able to present to the client and stuff as well. So therefore, I remember him coming. We were now starting the robot analysis. It's a design analysis program that we use in the program. And at that time, it came about on 18 diskettes and about 3 big books about this size. And he brings it when it comes from abroad. He comes and he just puts it on my desk and he says, "Here, this is yours, take it and learn it," right? And that was it, and he just passed it on to me. And I like that about him, and that he didn't take over from you. So therefore, he was always there to guide you along, but he pushed you always to ensure that you learned the process. And so it wasn't a baby steps all the time. It was jump into the water and you get your feet wet one time and you learn as you go along the way. But always in the background, they're always giving you guidance and making sure that you're on the right path all the time. So those are the two things those are the two aspects from both of them that I treasured the most in terms of my development, and I always keep in the back of my head when I'm continuing in my professional growth. Actually, I didn't look at it as mentorship back in that time. At the time, I just thought of it as, okay, these are these two guys who must be looking over me. But when I speak about it, I realize that is what mentorship is about. It's about not holding your hand along the way all the time, but pushing you forward all the time. So that another one of the aspects which I treasured was, which I think brings us on to one of the other questions that I have, is with Jeffrey. I mean, I remember I was on this project for one of the banks, and we actually ended up in arbitration, having to get rid of having to terminate the contract with the contract. And for me, that was actually one of my most memorable projects. It's a project where you go to sleep, it's on your head, you're dreaming, it's in your head, you wake up in the morning, it's in your head. So I was living it every day. But out of that project, I learned so much about engineering, about the engineering profession, engineering law, contract administration, and stuff like that. And again, I thank Jeffrey for that, because at that time, Mr. Lewis had just passed away, actually, and so he was still with the firm at that point, and we were still going through that project. And he didn't come and just take it over, because he obviously knew, he saw where it was heading. I'm sure because he's in the profession a lot longer than I am. So he obviously saw where the project was going and stuff. But he didn't take it away from me and say, okay, no, I'm going to take over this project and I'm going to finish it. He actually let me go through it, made sure I had all the information supplied to the contractors, the clients. During the process of the termination, he was there with me, guiding me in my letter writing and stuff like that. And that's another thing that I really treasure out of him, because he didn't just say, okay, let me take over this now. He left it alone with me, but again, always there guiding and mentoring. And I think that's one of the things that I have now, when I speak about it and with other people, and I'm now in a position where I also have to mentor. I also take those things into consideration, whereby I must realize that, okay, when the younger guys and gals come into the profession, you have to guide them along the way. Let them get involved in all different aspects of the profession to be able to grow in the profession and learn, and not hold them back in terms of the things that they will do. You're going to make mistakes along the way, but that's what your superior is there for you, to guide you and kind of stop you from making the mistakes that is not too detrimental to the firm later on. So that's a good thing about it as well. My most significant achievement is actually, well, I think it's not one, because I've always not seen myself very high up in leadership positions, I should say. It was never something that I pushed myself towards, actually. So for me, it's actually being a general manager and director of a firm, which is something can't say that, I sat down one day and said, yes, this is what I want to do with my life. So those aspects of it, as well as being the president of APETT. I didn't envisage that for a very, very long time, actually. I came into APETT, wanting to give something to the profession, because I have been receiving all the time through training and working and stuff like that. So it was now my chance to give back to the environment, society, as the case may be. So therefore, for me to become the president as well was in fact a great achievement, because I didn't see it coming along as quickly as it did, because I served as secretary under a number of presidents, and I saw the things that were achieved. I was involved in discussions and stuff. I didn't see my mindset on the same plateau as theirs, for want of a better description. So actually, to be held in that esteem, for want of a better description, by others, that I was now in a position to hold. I was now in a point in my life to be able to hold that position as president of the association. I took that as welcome pat on the back as it may be from the others. So
Yes.
yes. So therefore, so there's not just one achievement. There are those three aspects of which I really treasure. And as I said, I'm not a pusher, for want of a better description. So therefore, these things come with my being and doing and being involved in things. So therefore, they come as a result of my efforts. So I'm thankful for those aspects. I think my greatest regret is not being a go-getter. You know, there are people who can sit down and say, yes, in 5 years' time, this is what I want to do, in 10 years' time, and unfortunately, I'm just not like that. So I think that if I were a person who placed greater emphasis on goals for myself and achievements for myself, I think that I would have done a little bit more and given back a little bit more to the profession than I have at present. In terms of the wanting to design a bridge, that is something that I've now seen as something to take me away from that regret that I have, to chart myself on a new path. And because I found that in Trinidad and Tobago, we're kind of limited in terms of the form, the shape, the size, the materials that we use. So that in terms of the bridge that I would want to design, the aesthetics of it is most important to me, because when you look at construction abroad, when you look at documentaries abroad, you can see the limitless aspects of design, I would have to say, that you look at. They're not limited at all in terms of the materials that they use and stuff like that. So of course, you must take into consideration the environment and the elements which will be affected. But in terms, it's not, when you look at the final outcome, it's never just plain Jane. Right. When you look at it, right? It's height, it's form, its shape. We're talking about glass being used across short bridges and stuff like that. When we travel, unfortunately, when we travel up to the airport, we just see the same type of bridge each time, right? Made out of the same material. So you're now starting to see a little bit of diversity in terms of shape and materials, but in terms of the aesthetics of it, which is what I think makes a difference to the view of engineering. Is not just blocks. It's not just. It's about curves. Let's get into curves. Let's get into transparency. Let's get into. We have to have an architectural eye to it. Our architects are out here. They do some lovely work as well, and we, I think, need to partner with them in terms of ensuring that we show to the client that, okay, this is a different way that it can be done, and you're going to get the same effect. The effect is, not that you're going to get the same effect. You're going to get the same effect in terms of use, but in terms of how it looks and how it's perceived by the user or the spectator, then there's a different feel out of it. And that's why, if you think about it, a lot of people who travel, they want to go and see. I remember when I first went to France, the first thing when I went to the Eiffel Tower, there I am going up the Eiffel Tower and the steps, and there I'm looking at connections and stuff like that. And you're like, wow. Should I really be looking at connections and the shape of a building as you walk along? But as you grow in the profession, both from a layman's perspective and from a person who's involved in the profession as well, you get to appreciate forms and shapes a lot more. So therefore, you're actually moving away a little bit from the engineering hard aspects of it and appreciating the feel of the effect that it has on you from the visual aspect, which I think is important. I've mentioned 3 of them already. Cleveland Leonard, my father, being at the top of my list, because he has been one of, I would have to say, my greatest mentor. He's been there anytime I have a question on anything with regard to construction, be it the aspect of law, how to deal with people, how to deal with a contractor, how in terms of the methodology of writing and stuff like that. I would go by him. He'd be the one who assists me in that manner. Then the other 2 have to be definitely, without a doubt, Lauriston Lewis and Jeffrey Phillips. They're the ones who took me, babe in arms, I would call it, as I started my engineering profession, and they took me and for all and guided me along the way. Started me on the drawing board with the T-square and the pencil and the pens and stuff like that, and showed me everything that I have to know. Well, not everything, but they were very instrumental in my development in the profession. Along with that, I have to say all the other people who have played significantly in my profession have to be all the presidents of the association, because it's through my coming and working in APETT that I have been able to grow more and learn more about the profession through under the presidents that have served, those being Amin Baksh, Richard Saunders, Ray Furlong, and Hannah Bimodine. Sorry, my names are getting terrible these days. But I've served under those four presidents, and they were I like their style of governing, for want of a better description. I like their style a lot of them had focus and direction in terms of the things that they wanted the association to achieve, and I think that they did that in the best of their capabilities and with the resources as well that they had, as well along with the executive council in hand. So I treasure all of them as well in terms of in what they've done for the profession as well. The profession it's a wonderful one, and I don't, people knock it and say, don't become an engineer because you don't get any money that way. But at the end of the day, it's about what fulfills you and what you like. So the engineering for me, as I said, it's about design, it's about producing, it's about seeing at the end of the day. So I can drive down to Chaguanas, and I can see the Unit Trust building, and I can say to my nieces and nephews, hey, I worked on that, right? I climbed some scaffolding there, and that kind of thing. So for me, it's the engineering profession. It's not, well, everybody wants to make money, right? But at the end of the day, I'd say don't keep that as your forefront. Make it enjoyable for yourself. So therefore, in terms of the engineering profession, it's a wonderful profession to be in. It's limitless in terms of the aspects that you can get involved in. There is the civil aspect, there's the marine aspect, there is the construction, there's the structural aspect. So therefore, there are different types of engineering that you can get into, so that you don't think that that you're going to be doing the same thing all the time. The nice thing I like in Trinidad and Tobago is that when I've spoken to people who've worked in the industry in other countries, they're pretty much focused on only one thing. So you might meet an engineer and all he's working on is steel structures. He doesn't see anything else but steel structures. Luckily for us in Trinidad, we are smaller country, so therefore we have to delve into different types of projects and structures. So therefore, we get to delve into concrete, we get to delve into structural steel, we get to delve into glass in terms of our design, and that's what I like about it down here. So you have that flexibility for one to, down here. So I like that about it. I like it for that reason. I treasure it actually. I only begin to treasure it when I speak to young people about it actually. So on 2 occasions, people have come into the office because they want to start a career, and they ask me what about it. I'm like, why are you coming to me about this? Because I'm not really, I'm not really a talker in that regard. But when you get to speak to young people, and for them the world is still open, right? There are no closed doors to them. So therefore, when you speak to them and you're like, hey, yes, I didn't know that this used to happen or this used to happen, then you feel a sense of, yes, okay, it is a path for development along the way. With regards to that engineering as itself, and for APETT itself as part of the legacy, APETT has been around for over 50 years. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that it started over 50 years ago, and there's a reason that it's still going today, over 50 years. And that has to deal with the people involved in the association, who have a sense of feeling and passion towards both the association and the profession as itself. So therefore, I think that is also an important part that must be archived and told to others, not just archive, because there's one thing to archive and then put it away there, but tell people about it. That's what history is all about. And they say if you don't know your history, then you don't know where you're going. So therefore, when you get to know about the things that have happened in the past and the strides that people have taken to reach where we are, then we appreciate greater where we're going. So therefore, in terms of APETT, while some may have their inhibitions about the association and stuff like that, we are where we are today because of the people who continue to form and give of their service to the profession and the association. So therefore, that's always a positive and will continue to be with the growth. And I think with more people, there's more of the younger generation because their thought process is, I say, totally different from ours in a sense. And I say ours because I'm heading down that path as well. Is that, you know, there's different thought patterns and stuff, so therefore they can take it in a direction which will then be suited to the generations to come as well. So I think that will be a good thing as well.